Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren, und willkommen in meinem Haus. Wait a minute, we're not in Germany, and it's not my house, it's our house. It's the Singular.live house. I need Catherine to join me here so we can set the table on today's show. So I know Travis is back there doing his thing. So Travis, can you give me a 2-box with my favorite rock star, Catherine?
Hey, I understood everything you said in the
You
intro this
understood the
morning.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my house. And as I said, it's not my house, it's our house. And we're welcoming in some really cool guests today. I am really pumped up about today's little stream because we have, I'm going to tease it and then we'll jump into our little start piece. We are joined today with one of our premier partners. I'm going to call them the cloud content creation powerhouse rock stars of today. Well, in general, not just of today. But yeah, we are here. We have the guys from TVU Network here. They're going to show us TVU Producer. We've been working with these guys for a number of years now, and a lot of our customers are very happy with their product. They're constantly adding some cool stuff. They're going to show some cool stuff, and I have a feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to get a lot of interest on today's show. There will be other ones with our friends from TVU. So that is jumping the gun because Catherine, I think we have a little thing, what's new before we dive into the TVU Producer demo that we're going to do here shortly. So I will let you take it away with what's new, what's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. So as part of IBC's Accelerator Media Innovation Program, a team of sports broadcasters, rights owners, and tech vendors delivered an English Premier League production workflow trial to support the goal of a net zero carbon future for live productions. So our software and team was involved in that as part of our continued effort to spearhead a fully sustainable future for live productions. Most of that involves phasing out dedicated hardware and embracing fully cloud native workflows like TVU Producer and Singular. And you can learn more about the findings in a link to our latest newsletter in the description. And then Singular has also been utilized by the Major League Baseball for some of their content. And recently they actually won an Emmy for their work on the MLB Home Run Derby AR and XR experience, which is really cool. And we are proud that we were involved in that cutting edge project to deliver live graphics in a virtual environment. And then lastly, and this is something Steve and I are excited about, is we're hosting a 3-part webinar series this month on data integration. We'll be welcoming our data guru, Thomas Molden, on to walk us through all of the ins and outs of integrating live data into your Singular graphics. That starts on June 15th, next week. You can learn more about that and sign up again in the link in our newsletter. And then there's some other great stuff in there to check out as well. So that's what's new in Singular.
That's great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having Thomas join us. He can help me with my German. He's well versed, and he is. We got a little sneak preview on that piece coming up. Very excited to go over that because it's, as you know, detailed but extremely powerful. So I think we're gonna have a really good 3-part series with Thomas. And yeah, the Major League, just going back one step, Major League Baseball Network. A great group there. We've done a lot of different things with them over the years. Really forward-thinking group. They are, well, I'm a huge baseball fan, obviously, and I really enjoy what those guys are doing and continue to do with the platform with Singular. So yeah, that's about it for now. There's there's no better time than the present to bring in what I refer to as the cloud content creation powerhouse rock stars from TVU Network. We have Jared. And we have Curtis, if I'm not mistaken, who are going to walk us through some really cool stuff with their TVU Producer offering. So let's just dive right in. There he is. There's Jared, live.
Hey, Jared.
How you doing?
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're really excited to see what the offering with TVU and Producer. Obviously, I've used it many different times with different customers, and we have a nice integration with you guys, bringing in Singular graphics because you support a browser. You support bringing in our user interfaces and our graphic overlays into your offering. Again, I will hammer home this point. I'll come back to this cloud. This is cloud content in its purest, most beautiful form because that is what TVU Producer does. They do everything in the cloud. So all the great things you get from the cloud, the scalability, the flexibility. I will zip it and let Jared rock and roll with his piece. So excited, and I'm hoping I'll learn some new things from Jared, one of the many gurus at TVU. So take it away, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Singular team. We really appreciate the partnership. You know, we work with several different vendors, but I have to say, I think what we've done together and the way that not only the technology we're bringing to market, but I think the cultures and the way that we work with customer needs and work together to solve customer problems is really one of the highlights of the partnership. And I think that's a lot to say we're in the cloud, but it's another thing to say that the way our companies focus on customers is really during that next generation kind of cloud-based partnership as well. So really excited with all that we've done, and really excited for the opportunity to show this group what we've been working on with Producer. So I'll share my screen. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
So here is the interface for TVU Producer. I'll step back on TVU Producer and kind of give everyone a why did we create this product. And everything that TVU does begins with the customer in mind, and we start from customer problem statements. And TVU Producer was created multiple years ago before COVID, but really kind of came into its own during the pandemic, where we had unprecedented challenges that I think have now created new opportunities and new workflows for how we create content in the cloud. And really that challenge was talent had to be the new operator, right? We were in a position where we had to enable one person from home without any contact with any other person there to be able to easily create an entire production with graphics, with SCUDdy triggering, with all the bells and whistles that you need. And so we really work with a lot of our customers to develop an interface and to develop a responsiveness inside of the platform that allows the platform to be used for a talent creating an entire show and being able to bring that out to multiple syndication points. And now we've expanded that functionality and continue to add, because of the power of the cloud, more and more capabilities where now that can be expanded up. Total operators all communicating in real time through our remote presence layer, which we call Partyline, able to really have specializations where one person can run audio, one person can run video, because the cloud has allowed us to abstract all that complexity and then simplify the user interface. So if you just have basic streaming capabilities and you understand how to use things like YouTube, and you can automatically take to this tool set and be producing stuff at a very, very high level. And again, in the cloud, you only pay for the time that you utilize that. So it's very affordable. And we believe that these kinds of tool sets are allowing customers in broadcast and even in peripheral media markets to experiment with next generation workflows and monetizations in a way we've just never been able to do so in the past.
Yeah.
So I'll move over real quick to Producer and just kind of share with you kind of how easy Producer is to utilize. One of the things that we think really sets us apart with the tool set that we've created is the amount of inputs and outputs that we can take advantage of. If I go to input 1 here, you can see I don't have a source here, so I'm gonna add a source, and you can see all of these options that open up for utilization. Pretty much any kind of streaming format that you want to utilize from an IP standpoint: RTMP, RTP plus FEC, HLS, UDP, FDP, all the variants of SRT. Just pretty much the whole alphabet soup of streaming that you would want to utilize. We can take all of those kinds of signals in. So it's very, very easy to get any kind of live source into your production and utilize it from there. We can even take direct feeds from any TVU Anywhere app directly with a QR code, or you can have those people join Partyline and you can route them directly in from Partyline. Our packs go into this. Grid goes into this. Even things like Zixi, we can take in all of those environments. So one of the things I think that's been a struggle for customers in the live production space is that they've had a very limited amount of inputs that they can take in, and so it's really hindered the amount of shows that you can do. Inside of Producer, we want to be as open as possible and take in all of those, and then all of those same input formats are supported on the output side of things, and you can have, like I'm showing right here on this, multiple different outputs going to different social media accounts, to different output formats, and each encoder can have a different bit rate and a different resolution. So you can be providing your main feed going out to your website or to your broadcast output, and then all of your social feeds in one interface. Everything that we do in TVU Producer is recorded. All of the ISO feeds are recorded. In fact, they can be accessed from cloud editing platforms as well. So you can literally be editing in the same storage that we're recording it to, and then making that edited version available in our clip player instantaneously, because again,
Nice.
it's all happening in the cloud and there's no need to move that content around. So because of that, we have the ability for at any point in the production to be able to add markers and information about that, so you can easily go to that specific point in the recording of any of these ISOs to build any kind of like highlight reels or halftime shows. Is a big utilization of that. And then I'll show you here on the graphics side of things. This is exactly how we've built Singular's iframe directly into the product itself. So all of the functionality that you get in the browser-based Singular control version is available here to utilize. And this can be utilized, again, as one operator, or I could have one person that's on my production team be focused on the iframe inside of their interface, or directly controlling this on the Singular UI as part of the production as well. So all of the power of Singular directly here in this UI, so that it's really easy for one operator to focus on this and be able to do really, really robust graphics, data-driven graphics and sports graphics from the same interface that you're doing your switching and your SCUDdy triggering and all of the other production tool sets that you need to accomplish.
Yeah, docking the Singular user interface, just for our Singular user base, what we're looking at there, as Jared said, is a Singular Studio instance that is being hosted or displayed or drawn inside of TVU Producer as in an iframe. So that might be a little technical for some people, but basically that's the mechanism by which we're able to host a web page and display it and control it. So to Jared's point, sort of what he's describing is almost an accordion. So for example, if you bring the accordion all the way down, one person with a handful of graphics can easily control a handful of graphics, no problem. If it's a one-man band, this concept of talent is the new operator, which I think you guys really hit the nail on the head with that sort of line. It makes sense. But if the production demands more graphics, it's very graphic intensive or audio intensive, you can expand that accordion and do dedicated tasks on dedicated surfaces. In our case, and in the case of TVU Producer, you're talking web pages. Singular, the UI is a web page, so you can control that from anywhere if the production needs it. So our integration with you guys in terms of hosting instances as an iframe, you will see that expand into other types of user interfaces. I'll sort of tease that. We can come back to that in another stream. But for right now, what you're seeing is Singular Studio, the rundown right in TVU, very responsive and really easy to pop in with a simple token. So we've had a lot of interest in this because it just sort of feels right? It's our expertise in graphics and your expertise in all of the other pieces needed from streaming come together so nicely with that iframe approach.
Yeah, and I think the customer feedback that we've gotten is it's been revolutionary to the cost base of this. And I think we talk about, hey, we need talent to be the new operator from an ease of use perspective. But more and more what we're hearing for customers is this problem statement that I've got to build these different monetization outputs, these different derivatives as content becomes more and more personalized to the individual watching it. But I can't have the exact same cost base that I would for my main feed that's going out. So being able to put this interface in here allows you to create productions with graphics that you would have had to expend a lot of effort and a lot of dollars for a specialized operator to do. And now it's so easy that as long as that pre-work is done to kind of have all those graphics set up, anyone really can hit the play button and the transition key on the keyboard and start to bring graphics in and out. And it just has allowed us to enhance so many productions at say the tier 3, tier 4 level that would have never been able to have that kind of graphics and that kind of operational philosophy from one interface, and it gets used every day in earnest. Scale that up and down. And then we have the ability to do our AI transcription. So you can take any of the feeds coming in, and you can with one button click turn on the ability to automatically add closed captioning to your output. If there is closed captioning present, our system is smart enough to know that and not caption those elements, but then it would only caption those elements that they didn't have closed captioning. So again, right out of the gate, all of the kind of legalization you need to be able to broadcast things out in, especially American television, you can do all of that directly from the cloud with TVU Producer as well.
That's really cool.
This is one of my favorite things, because I think it is something that's become more and more important as people are sending productions directly to fast channels that they're spinning up, and more of the monetization is focused on that digital advertising and being able to kind of have that automatic SCUDdy-driven advertising downstream. We support almost any kind of SCUDdy trigger that you'd want to utilize, both time signals and splice inserts. You can kind of select here from any of the SCUDdy environments you need. You can create more of those, and we're actually adding the ability to kind of have presets here, so you can have multiple SCUDdy presets that you can select from. But if I want to fire a SCUDdy trigger, I could say I want to fire my program start, I have to have a specific output started, but I can just hit that fire button, and it will come down here and it will tell me exactly when that SCUDdy trigger was fired and exactly what time code that it was in. And so you know directly from your production, while you're in the party line having simultaneous conversations with your production team, you can count in and out of your breaks. You can fire your digital ad insertion breaks directly from the interface in Producer, or you can map those to keyboard shortcuts or Stream Deck buttons as well. A couple of other things. This is what I'm spinning up here now is a monitoring environment, which allows anyone in engineering to see your program feed going out. You can see any of the outputs that you have. If closed captioning is on, you'll see that captioning happening, any SCUDdy triggers that fire. But you can see from all my feeds, I'm able to see my video bit rate, my audio bit rate, all my frames per second. So even if engineering or if the technical support is in a completely different part of the world, they're able to see exactly what's going on, exactly the health and status of the environment, and I can even go back and look at any of these shows that I've created, and I can go back and look at the logs, all the diagnostic logs for all those shows. So that's one of the great things about the cloud, is that we can simplify even what it means to troubleshoot, even what it means to look at all of the data from your production as well. One of the things we wanted to, that we're just now releasing, that we wanted to tease, that we've been working with several customers to develop, is the ability to do pan tilt zoom control of pan tilt zoom enabled cameras directly from the interface itself. So we've worked with a lot of large networks to be able to take in their video from pan tilt zoom cameras. It's so easy to just add a source that's a pan tilt zoom source. You tell it's a pan tilt zoom source, and it automatically becomes available here. You select those sources that are capable of pan tilt zoom control, and they will show up here, and you are able to select presets. You're able to zoom in and move those around. So you can control remote cameras with no hardware needed on site, directly from TVU Producer now. So even more capability that one operator or multiple operators can engage in from anywhere in the world. Then just a couple more things. We have the ability to bring in clips. So you can bring in clips from directly the machine you're utilizing, or from the cloud storage that that's connected to TVU Producer. And once you have those clips, I can make endpoints and outpoint changes in those clips. I can make playlists. I can decide the behavior of how I want my clip players to play out. If I want them to autoplay, if I want them to cut from preview to program when that clip is done playing, and then if I want those to respect the mark and outpoints that I've created inside those environments. And so again, this is another example of, well, I may be overwhelmed doing graphics myself, or the amount of stuff that I need to do for a very, very kind of complex production. I have the same link down here that I can just click, and it'll spin up a full clip player here for me to utilize, or I can again share that with anyone that's using this production, and they can run the clip player directly from their interface with that point of focus. And we really think that's the way that we can simplify even what it means to make very, very difficult high-level productions. We build all of our technology in microservices, so the same input service and output service and transition service and HTML rendering service that we would use in Producer is the same one we would use in Remote Commentator or in our new playout product, TVU Channel. And so it makes it very easy to kind of put these Lego blocks together in a different way to solve different problems. But what we found is critical is another thing that we call the micro application, which is specializing the interface for the job you need that operator to do and removing all of the non-critical stuff so that anyone with very little technical training can take to a job, only have to worry about their point of focus and be able to do very advanced production environments with very simple control interfaces.
That's really cool. So you're just blocking out while we're all talking. I was just going to say, yeah, that's really smart for someone new to any of these positions, because what you're doing is you're blocking out all of the noise on the interface and just like zoning in on something specific. I think that's incredibly smart of you guys to do.
And it's all link driven. So we call that operator centric orchestration. And I'll without trying to get too technical about it, but I'll say one of the things that we've heard from a lot of customers that's difficult when it comes to adopting cloud production technology is they have to keep multiple Kubernetes cloud engineers on staff just to spin things up and spin them down and just to be able to monitor that environment. So we start with the operator first, and we abstract all of that complexity and make it so easy that an operator can use the same tool sets that they would use for their regular business objectives, like Outlook calendars and things like that, to be able to send links and schedule their productions in a way that are very user-friendly and really focused on solving the operations problem without incurring all of the technical expense to be able to operate this stuff in the cloud.
Yeah.
Well, that modular and then finally, it's impressive. Just the ones that you ran through those when you're popping out the various user experiences for those various tasks, whether it's clip management or what have you. It's really, really powerful. Just starting from the operator's perspective is so imperative, because as you know, it can get overwhelming and breaking it down into little pieces like you've done your architectures. Really nice, really very impressive. And it's I've seen it grow now for several years, and it's some powerful features.
I appreciate it. And everything that we try to do, we start with, what's the problem for our customers, and usually if you're willing to listen, they'll show you the way, and that's what we constantly keep doing, and it's going to continue to get better and better and better. One of the things I missed to highlight, you can see we've just added this to our portfolio using Singular, which I think is something we should probably talk about from the power of Singular and Producer together, is being able to use Singular graphics as transitions or as swipes across the interface allows even another next generation capability of kind of synthesizing what you do with large DVE moves and things like that in a traditional broadcast environment. We can now use HTML data and then prepare those transitions in a way that gives you really, really high quality and difficult transitions supported by graphics that I think would cost a lot of money and require a lot of infrastructure to do in the traditional way, now all in the cloud. So the power of these productions that we can create are giving people, even with their own YouTube channels, because of the cost base of this stuff, the ability to create really, really high quality broadcast grade productions.
Well, I will add on just on that white piece that you mentioned. I know that's been a big request from a lot of professional broadcasters, a lot of the customers that we deal with and that you deal with. And I was on with R&D this morning, actually several times this week, with your guys and my team. And I can tell you firsthand, just a tease, I'm sure we'll do another piece on this and focusing on this. It looks really good. It's very, very powerful. This ability to do some really nice complex wipes, control them, singular wipes between sources. It's been a big ask for a long time. I think your guys, our team together, have come up with a very elegant solution. But we'll leave that for another stream, I think, to go into the details.
More to come. But the cool thing about all of this stuff is we're not limited by what we could do in a box or what the infrastructure that someone has on site. We have the full power of the cloud to start rethinking some of these problems. And I think it's just the beginning of some of these kind of creative solutions we can provide to the market that give them a power and give them the feel of $300,000 worth of broadcast equipment at their fingertips, all in the cloud that you're paying, you know, dollars an hour for, that you spin up and utilize. And so I'll give you an example of that, because we do have this ability to ISO record every single input that we're bringing into our environment. We now have this built-in recording service. We've been able to do some cool things, like with this simple link, anyone with an iPhone or an iPad or an Android device, I can send them this link. They click that link, and now they have a replay interface that presents itself on their mobile device, or a officiating replay, which we have a lot of demand for. And those feeds are now able to be scrubbed, or able to be sped up and slowed down. And even things that are coming soon, like being able to take the pencil off your iPad and telestrate, and then have that data represent graphics on the screen. So I think we're really coming into a renaissance of this technology and what we're going to be able to do, because, you know, the more we come up against these limitations, the more we find that the cloud just keeps providing us better ways and more efficient ways of solving these problems and providing these capabilities.
Really cool. I mean, it's feature rich for sure. And again, I've seen you guys add a lot of new features in a relatively short period of time. And I like when I hear, you know, customer or operator driven stuff, because that's the best solutions come from solving the problem of a customer. And then, like you said, you listen to them and they give you the answer. They lead you to the right answer. I'm wondering if we have any, they tell me that the questions are just lined up, stacked up. Travis has been quiet back there. Let's see if he can hear me.
He may have muted himself, so
that's okay.
We'll see if he sends us a message. Let's see. I do think I have some questions that I can ask while we wait for Travis. You already teased at the wipe feature, which I'm excited to hear about, because I've been because I've been hearing about it, and it has been a very highly demanded thing. Let's see here.
Yeah, I had a very good conversation with our CTO this morning about it, and some of the challenges that we've got. An elegant solution is, you know, you hit a graphic that comes over and covers the screen, and at what point do you want to trigger from source A to source B? We've got some delay handles in there now, so maybe you have a graphic that comes in, you want it to sit for a beat, so you can put some text, maybe an interstitial, and then wipe out. So all those little details are coming soon. So I'm really excited to see that. And where I saw it, the UI was of TVU Producer, so it's great. It's just very intuitive. And it can be native Singular graphics built natively, or even clips. You know, we have a lot of customers that come at us with movies. They say, hey, we pre-rendered this video, this movie clip with an alpha channel. We want to bring it in, hold a beat, and then go out. Other ones where you want to actually build the graphic natively in a Singular timeline using our basic widgets. Maybe it's just some cool rectangles or what have you. So the solution will allow you to do either or both. So a traditional wipe with something that's traditional for broadcasters is a pre-rendered video clip done in any number of different pieces of software. Key and fill in, hold, cover, frame, cut, out, or build it completely native in Singular. So I saw both. It was working. I'm excited. I'm pumped up for that one. That one has been sort of one of those divider lines that separate, you know, traditional broadcast, really polished traditional A crew, A productions with, you know, just traditional cutting. So a neat one.
I agree.
Something I wanted to touch on. Sorry, go ahead, Jared.
I was just going to say, I also think, you know, from the TVU side, one of the reasons I think the partnership is so valuable to us is every time that we have an idea, it's like, oh yeah, Singular already has an API that will allow us to go in that direction. Or the very few times that we did, and it's like, we'll get that added to the API in record time. And I think we're talking production centric here, but I also think there's a lot more to share about time aligning some of these graphics in the more master control environment and play out environment. And I think, And what we can do with HTML graphics in production with these swipes and wipes and various different transitions is a one level of power. But what we're also going to be able to do with things in like TVU channel, with time aligning those graphics as secondary events and using data from playout schedules to be able to automate that kind of graphic. It really is, I think, the beginning of something really amazing that's happening on that front. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's great. I mean, I think you're right. It is the beginning, and it's funny because, you know, every day we see some new development that feels very cutting edge. But yeah, if you zoom back, it is just the beginning, and there's a lot of really cool stuff, I think, that we have yet to even conceive in the cloud in terms of live productions. There is something that I wanted to touch on. I guess it's related to the cloud, but we see a lot of like lift and shift type solutions versus something that's cloud native. Can you touch on that and kind of your experience with speaking with customers about that differentiation?
Yep. I think a lot of times people will say, is your technology in the cloud? And vendors will answer yes, but not all technology that's in the cloud is created equal. There's those elements where you can basically wrap or container, put a container around any software that exists that was built way before the cloud even came about, and you can run it in a machine that's running in the cloud. And that is a way to be in the cloud. It's not optimized. It's not created as a cloud service. Everything we do is we build our technology on what we call minimum viable functionality. So we break it down to the smallest level piece that we can, and then we utilize cloud orchestration techniques like Kubernetes to be able to spin up that combination of Lego block services to solve that particular problem. And by doing it that way, it becomes very portable. It becomes way more efficient because I'm not paying to run the entire machine. I'm just running the component of technology that I need. So when I need to do an HTML render, I can spin up that HTML render, do it, and spin it down and save cloud costs when it's not being operated. So it's way more efficient, way more flexible, and way more diverse in the things you can do when you build for the cloud, as opposed to just taking software you already have and just putting it in the cloud.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I've seen a number of different streaming software that gets put in the cloud, executables that were built whenever they were built, and maybe are still being built and developed and are powerful and what have you. But there is a difference, and it is a key difference, because as you scale in the cloud, as you do more productions, if you're not using completely natively built, I'll call it, cloud software, you will run into limitations very, very quickly on performance, on cost, on scalability. So that's a very good point. Yeah, definitely.
Even on sustainability too, to add to that, because efficiency equals sustainability when you're talking about power and resources and all those sorts of things. So, unforeseen benefits as well. I mean, I'm sure the broadcast space hasn't really been thinking about sustainability until, as of late, as it's been a very important sort of topic, and it's possible now that people are shifting to the cloud. So.
Yeah, I think broadcast didn't have a lot of sustainable options because you needed really heavy duty machines and racks that are drawing all kinds of power. Now we can do this. We can do this stuff with 1/10 of the power load and none of the cost. So it's one of those great synergistic things where doing something that's better for your company's pocketbook now is also better for the world.
Yeah.
And spin out to and going back to that point of your CDN distribution, where you can pump out the content to multiple destinations all at the same time. I mean, that's a whole nother piece. You're not going to do that in a traditional production control room easily and cost efficiently. It's just not going to happen. So, we could go on and on about the cloud efficiencies. They're endless, and I'm just really excited to see your latest offering. And I know Partyline is a big piece to that. I love the idea of taking multiple screen shares effectively as a source, right? So you're doing, when you start using Partyline for its screen sharing capabilities and using those kind of like you would in a traditional router, right? They're sources, all kinds of creative ideas come from that. You couldn't do that in a traditional production control room. It doesn't exist. It's not even possible.
So you can see there's Curtis's audio mixer interface, and the amount of time it took you to explain it. I had already routed him directly to Air and can use those screen shares. And so what we call this kind of new way of creating content is community production. This concept that it used to be that I had to have a dedicated production team, but one of the things that we're seeing specifically with cloud workflows, and we've seen this at some of the latest sports drafts and the NFL draft that we did, is that we're able now, because everyone can connect to the cloud and now share assets, we're able now to give a production bump to everyone in the chain. So if you're working with a sports network, the actual teams can now access all that video for almost no additional cost, and now utilize that in their local productions that they're doing. And then the sponsors of those events that are doing red carpet events now have access to that video. And now all of that can be recorded and then shared afterwards. And then when that shared joint production is done, you can security-wise spin everyone down so that they no longer have access. But everyone was able to do a way better collaborative production environment, even at the highest end, with being able to share content that you just never been able to do before the cloud and commodity internet allowed you to do that. And with Partyline, you can send a simple link to anyone. You can have multiple people anywhere in the world collaborating and controlling that, and then using that video for their different productions as well. So, you see a lot, especially on kind of social media productions and tier 3 productions, where you have these crossover events where different podcasters will come together, but both of them still want to output that to their individual podcast with their individual graphics. This kind of format allows you to do that very, very easily, while still kind of being natural in the way that you communicate. We worked really hard with Partyline to get the latencies down to 150, 100 milliseconds. So one of the things you don't experience from using things like Zoom and Teams is you don't experience that the digital double dutch where people are trying to get into the conversation, but there's a delay, and it just gives you that broadcast grade quality and allows you to really do very interesting things. And we love to see what our customers are able to take these tools and do with them, especially with esports, especially with the ability with TVU Anywhere, because just like I can share the screen of my computer, in Partyline, I can actually share the screen of my mobile devices as well. So if I'm playing a mobile game, now I can do a full mobile esports production event all on Partyline, all going into to Producer, and then syndicating that out to all of the places you want to send it.
That's really
Looks like
cool.
we got a question about the Multiviewer. Can you elaborate a little bit on the Multiviewer and what kind of capabilities you have on that piece?
So in Partyline, what we call it a production multiviewer, in the sense of if you have Curtis that's at his home in Tampa, wave to everyone, Curtis, and
hey, Curtis.
and so me and Curtis are here on this Partyline, but we're using this Partyline effectively like a production multiviewer, because I can share my screen here and now I'm able to see my screen, what I'm doing with Partyline, or I could have a tab that I share from my just producer. So if I'm a director, and say I'm a director, in the Midwest, and I've got people joining from multiple different states, I maybe have remote commentators that are commentating on a game. I now used to be in a lot of remote production environments, unless I installed a purpose-built multi-viewer, I would maybe see this output signals that were coming from the feed, but I couldn't see what each of my talent was doing when it came to their job set. And so now in Partyline, I'm able, by everyone sharing their screen, I can see exactly what's happening operationally on the audio mixer. I can go into multiple different modes, and I can see that full screen. I can break that off as picture in picture, so you can create these different views that you want to see to utilize, both from a production, a reassurance capability, but also from a communication standpoint, because I can upgrade myself to production crew or anyone on my team, and I can actually have a private conversation with Curtis, saying, hey man, I need you to fix this component of the operation, or can you adjust these levels? Or I can speak privately to everyone in the production environment, count them in and out of break. The same thing works for talent. So we have a lot of people that are utilizing this with Producer to bring in talent from anywhere. Again, it's all link-based, so regardless of what your tool set you're using, you can easily join. And then once that person is in the environment, while they're on air, I can have a private conversation with them directly through Partyline that will not contaminate the air product at all, because we have what we call a real-time interactive layer. We have a layer that you utilize for monitoring and communication that is completely separate for the production distribution layer. So it really allows you to have these very flexible production workflows while you're still giving the highest quality output and to your production environment.
It's, you know, I rewind and I say I use the term multi-viewer as sort of an antiquated term from broadcast. And when I see this, I realize very quickly this is comms, this is chat, this is let me show you what I'm seeing on my end. I have a problem with an audio. Oh, I'll just show you my UI. It's way more than a
Troubleshooting, yeah.
Yeah, traditional multi-viewer was a viewer. Move the videos around to a multi-image display processor, move the things around. But when you're talking the ability to isolate a conversation, which you would do in comms over headset to different people on your production team, and share their screen and send them text messages and on and on and on. It's way more than a multi-viewer. The community production term I think you used is a much more apropos sort of term for this. It's much more than a multi-viewer in this scenario. It's phenomenal. Great.
And you guys have a chat feature as well, which is also incredibly helpful.
We have full text chat, and the thing that really I think establishes Partyline different for a tool used for production is that if any of these environments that I have, if I go here, I have the ability to in my settings to say, do I want people to be able to chat in this environment? Like, I think one of the interesting stories is when we did the Critics' Choice Awards on this, we had 500 stars on our gallery view, because we can also take in, you know, lots of people and put them in mosaics and then ship those mosaics off to screens that are behind game shows or cooking shows or on the big boards of multiple sporting events that they do. And the same graphics modules that we do in Producer can be overlaid onto those as well. So we've done some interesting stuff with that, with things like Snapcam kind of things that people want to do with branding in large sporting venues, where they share those as like another tier of XR engagement that you can have with the production. But you as the operator have the full control. So the screen you are seeing is a operator screen, but Curtis's screen as a participant looks very similar to what you would see in Teams or Zoom. So it's familiar to people to utilize, but that micro application is specific for the operator. And when you need that control and you need to be able to route people in and out, as well as bring that return video from any source back so everyone can see that video in low latency, you have all those capabilities, all that functionality. And we're really not even scratching the surface, because this thing can scale because of the cloud almost indefinitely. So the kinds of workflows that you can do are really limited by your own imagination.
Yeah, 500 guests sounds insane in your software. That's pretty
impressive.
Cool.
You know, I see this tool and I ask myself, like, it's so much more than just making, I call it traditional content. When you get into the screen sharing, I mean, it really blurs the line. I mean, you can produce traditional content, I'll call it, with, you know, lots of video sources, graphics, mixing audio. But when you start getting into the screen sharing and this ability to use screen shares as a source and lots of them, it opens the door to making a whole different types of content that using this tool. So really, really flexible. I'm just looking back at the chat here. I don't see any other questions right now, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to be doing another stream with our friends at TVU. But I think, Catherine, did you have any other questions? Because we're coming up on about 50 minutes or so, so I didn't want to go too long in the tooth today. We've seen a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, really, really impressive. It's been great having you guys. Jared, Curtis, thank you guys for joining us. We're going to have you again. We're going to rope you guys back into this, to our little live show.
No, it was awesome. Thank you guys for the time, and we look forward to the next time we get together and all the new information we'll have to share with everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, buddy. Curtis, in the background. Thanks.
All right.